Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be an awesome review. I finally got my hands on the Yuneec Breeze drone, 4K little mini drone that does flying with your cell phone, kind of a selfie little drone. You can do all kinds of stuff, follow me. I think it has some kind of active track, but it's supposed to be a pretty good little one. And what we're going to do in this review is do a full unboxing, inspection, setup. I'm going to show you how the app looks on the phone and maybe how to update it if it needs some updates. I have not opened this yet, so this will be a full review and you'll be finding these things out with me as I go. So it should be pretty interesting. And then we'll take it out to the park, do a full-on flight test, go through all the features that we can, and do a pros and cons over there in the park. So I will have the link for this down in the description. Don't forget, as usual, it will be down there for extra specs, current pricing, and all that stuff if you'd like to visit that link. Anyway, let's unbox it, get to the good stuff, and see how everything is. So taking off the top cover, and we are greeted with this little pamphlet that on mine is completely in Chinese, so I can't read that. So we are getting quite a few of these little boxes. Just gonna take these out real quick. They're not labeled or anything, then we'll open them up and see everything we get. So there's one big box, two small boxes, and then here's the large box with what I'm assuming is the drone inside. It's got this labeling here. It says Breeze 4K. It is a nice feeling plastic hard box, and it just says push. Nothing really else except for the hinge on the back, just a basic plastic hinge. So let's push this, open it up, and take a look at what we get. Wow, cool. So we have some information on top, again, all Chinese. I guess this is the Chinese version. I cannot read that. But here's the drone. So it does have these swinging props that are actually going to expand out when the motors start to spin and reach their full expansion. It is feeling very light without the battery in there. Speaking of the battery, here's the battery, just nicely tucked away in the case here. So it is saying it's 1150 milliamp hour, 11.1 volts, so that's a 3S battery, and it is proprietary. It's got a little release mechanism here, just a little warning sticker there, and there's our plug to plug into the drone. So pretty basic, and then all you get are these prop guards. So 4 prop guards, and they do have this little tie wrap, kind of holding them all together. And it looks like it's going to be fairly easy to put on the prop guards. It's just a little clip mechanism, so that's great. You got 2 little grooves here, one groove on that side, one groove on the other side, and then there are grooves on the prop guards that we're just matching those up, pushing it over, and they lock in nice and tight. So if you think you're going to be possibly crashing into things or flying kind of close proximity to you or objects, definitely pop those on just so you don't destroy your quad or damage anything. For now, I'm just going to leave that off. You can see how easy that was. Just pull and click and pull off. So great design. There's our power button. Looks like these are our landing feet. Wow, that's cool. So they're just a nice click and latch system where it's tension springed in there. So they're not going to be moving without you really pulling on them. And then once they're opened up, I don't see any way this is really going to be collapsing in the air, or even if you like hit the ground kind of hard. They are pretty darn, have a lot of tension in there. Just have a little warning card here. And this is in English: spinning propellers, keep clear of the spinning. And it's got a little bit of warning information here. And then another one on this end. Let's see if this says the same thing. Yeah, so this is just a little thing to show to put on the propeller guards if you want. Please install propeller protectors before flying. So they want you to do that regardless. Of course, you don't have to, but you can. Anyway, let's look a little bit more in depth at the design of this. We got some nice venting up top. That air that these propellers generate is going to push it down in the quadcopter. So we're going to be cooling the internals of it. Wow, look at this. So this looks like a stereo camera for the vision positioning system on the ground, covered up by this like polarized piece of glass. And there's another one here, another camera on the bottom. So it's got like 3 cameras, 1, 2, 3. If I tilt it just right, you can kind of see 2 cameras in there. And then we've got this venting here for, it looks like the motherboard electronics to keep that cool. And here's the camera. So looks like, wow, okay. So it is slightly stabilized. I'm pushing it around in here and it looks like it's in some kind of a suspended in rubber or something, or springs. And I don't want to really pull on it because you're probably going to be able to adjust that pitch from the application when that's powered up. But anyway, that's the 4K camera. That's kind of how it looks up close. Looks pretty good. The motors here and the propellers. There's the motor. All the motor is saying is Breeze on it. There's no specifications on the motor, but these are those kind of collapsible propellers, as you can see here. So far so good. I mean, it looks very simple, but here's how you put in the battery. Just pushing in like that. Looks like this module on top is going to be our GPS. You can see how it's a little bit elevated from the rest of the quadcopter. And then to take out your battery, it's just kind of this push pull latch. On the side, we do have a USB port, and they make sure you know it's not for charging. There is a little bit of a warning there that says not for charging with a little battery icon on it. Anyway, almost forgot to check out these other boxes. Got so infatuated with the drone, I forgot to open up these other little boxes that it comes with. So this tiny one, yes, okay, there we go, check it out. I was wondering about that. They give you 2 sets of propellers, and here's how the propellers look. So they have this little brass collar inside of them, and they do have screws that look like they're going to lock in to the motor. So 2 sets, awesome. Just got to figure out how to replace those. It might say in the directions online or something because I can't read the Chinese in here. Here is another box of some paperwork. Again, all in Chinese. It looks like it's going through what application you need to download. Yeah, so there is some QR coding there. Here's another pamphlet. It looks like these are the light beeping codes, again in Chinese, so I'm not really sure what those are. I'll have to look on the internet to see what that is. And then one more pamphlet. It looks like this is going to be our main instruction manual. But I can't read any of that, so I'm going to put that on the side and just open up this one last box, which should be the charger and some other accessories. This is a US plug, it looks like, adapter. Here's a micro USB cable to USB to get into the flight controller, it looks like. And here's the charger. So kind of a neat looking charger, kind of proprietary looking. That's where you're going to plug in that wall adapter we just took out. And the battery just slides in like this. Let's take it out of the craft first. And here we go. So we should just slide it in like that, push it in, and it gives a satisfying little tight push. No click or anything, it's just pushing in these pins. And I think that's about it, guys. There's nothing else in these boxes. We took everything out and inspected everything. So let me charge this thing up and let's get the phone up and running. I want to figure out how to do all that, and I'll go through it with you on the table here before we go and fly. Okay, guys, so I've gone ahead and put an initial charge in the battery for the Breeze here. And let's just go ahead and boot this thing up and check it out on the iPad here. This is the iPad Air 2. And I just want to see how it works on the iPad, just booting up and seeing what everything does. And then we'll go ahead and fly it. So one thing I should touch on though that I missed in the unboxing is actually that the way you can change the blades, let me go ahead and zoom in here, is these little guys. So the top covers on top of the propeller motors actually comes off. It's just a piece of plastic that's got some kind of sticky tape on it that pops off, and you can see that we have the screws in there to change the propellers. They just screw right into the motor. So that's how you're going to put on those extra propellers if you do kind of mangle them up. You do need some kind of like really sharp flathead screwdriver or like a X-Acto knife or razor blade to get in here and pry these little things off. They're just little sticky caps that you can take off. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and power this thing up and connect it to the app. So we want to click and hold until we see the lights flashing. We're going to hear the sound there. So first thing we want to do is we want to go into our Wi-Fi settings and connect to the Breeze. So if we look up here, I've named mine Breezy, and that's what we want to connect to. So we just click on it and connect. And for the initial connection, you're going to enter a passcode of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. is going to be the initial password. So we're closing that since we're already connected to it via Wi-Fi. And then we go ahead and launch the BreezeCam app. Download that from the App Store. And there we go. So it says, welcome and connected. And you're going to hear, once you start the app up and the Wi-Fi is connected, you're going to hear that two-tone beep. I don't know if you heard that under my voice, but that's what we do. And it says to get started, we have some information here. And then we go ahead and click next. And here we go. So this is the main launch panel. And we can see that we have our gallery. This is where we can play our pictures and videos. I went ahead and just hovered it around the house and actually took it out to the park and did a quick little flight when I was reviewing something else just to see how the thing worked. And it did fairly well. You can see me there sitting in a chair. I was trying to do a round surround point around myself, focus around point. But we're going to get to that in a second. Here's some house flying here. Anyway, so we have this button here. It says tasks, and then we have the camera. This is actually the live view of the camera. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you remember Parrot Bebop. I did a few reviews on the Parrot Bebop, but their flight application looks very similar to this. Up here we've got drone settings, camera settings, general settings, support, about, and me. So you can actually log in and create your account if you want to. You don't necessarily have to. And then this is also where it's going to tell you if it needs an update. This is where you can pick your name. We're in the drone here. You can see that it has a drone icon. And then we have these little arrows to the right and left. So if I click to the right, we have mode 1 and mode 2 selection. That just depends on how you want the control to perform. And then we have takeoff height and default distances. So this is where we can kind of preset when we do launch how high we want it. 3.9 feet, that seems maybe a little dangerous. What I recommend doing is maybe, I'm 6 feet and I don't want it like eye level. I like it to launch up to maybe 6.5 feet. Actually, all the way up is going to be 6.6 feet. So let's just keep it at 6.6 feet. That's just when you go ahead and slide to launch. It will lift up that high and just hover there until it has further commands. And then this is going to be the default of between takeoff point and default center in selfie, orbit, me, and journey modes. So I guess that means like if you're to be in the middle of a circle, how far away out it would fly and stay at that. I guess you'd call that a radius of the circle since you'd be in the center. So I'm just going to leave that at default. Continuing on. Max speed and height of return to home. So I forget if I actually messed with this. I think the height of return to home was down at 30 feet initially. I went ahead and I like mine to go up right around 100 feet. That way, if it's ever coming back, you can make sure you're above trees and stuff and buildings, unless you have some huge skyscrapers in your area. And then of course you have your max speed. It says not applied to journey mode, so that would just be for flying around in general. I'm just going to leave it at that speed for now. That's the default, I believe. And then the max height. I actually went ahead and maxed this out on my own, but I think initially it was down at, I want to say, I think it was down at 90 something feet. So you have the option. It looks like this is going to be your max though, up there at 262 feet. And it's going to warn you that you've reached your geofence. So it's kind of like a pre-programmed geofence and you can't go any further than that. And then the max distance was, I believe, around the same, 90 something feet or so. I'm going to go ahead and just push it all the way up, just in case I want to do some range testing out there. When we do fly, I'm probably going to try to do a couple batteries worth, and we'll try some range testing as well in this review. I'm going to take my time on it, and so I can squeeze everything in. Compass calibration, I already actually did the compass calibration in the park, and I might go through that again when we get out there and fly, just so you guys can see in real time how that's happening. I'm not going to do it right here in the house though. And task confirmation. All this is when you go into the task, it's going to say slide to go into the task to start in the task interface, which I don't think you really need because it's just kind of a middle thing. You're not actually starting the task. So I'm going to uncheck all those just because it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to leave all those off. Now we're going to go into camera here, and we can see that we've got our different camera settings. So UHD, which is the 4K, it's got no stabilization. So if you're going to be shooting in 4K, the wind and whatever, every single move that the craft does, you're going to be seeing in the video. So I'd recommend, if you want a little more smooth video, choose the 1080p at 30 frames per second, and it tells you with or without digital stabilization. You see how the 4K doesn't have that, and the 1080 and the 720 both have digital stabilization. So I'm going to leave it at 1080, and then I may switch it to, probably can do both in this flight review, so watch out for both, what those look like. Photo settings, I'm going to leave it at ultra high. It's just a higher megapixel. Scene modes, general camera settings. So, you know, you can pick between your camera settings if you know what you want. Of course, there's raw, saturation, nature. Saturation just makes it look a little more saturated and colorful. I'm just going to leave it, I think that's stock, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then if you want to format the internal memory card here, you can. And also reset the default camera settings if you want to. Okay, next one down is going to be like this little options gear, and I chose Imperial. I can't remember if it was metric or imperial when I first got it, but I just made sure it was on imperial since I'm in the US for measurements, so that would be either meters or feet basically. And then we have help here where it's saying you know, Yuneec USA. You've actually got a user manual up here, so that's great, because remember the user manual was all in Chinese. So I'm going to go ahead and go into user manual real quick and just show you what this thing looks like. So it really does go through just about everything. Notice and warnings, general warnings, disclaimer. I think it's saved where I was, so let me go back here. So it's telling you what the lights do, how to do the compass calibration, all the basic things, putting off and on the prop guards, kind of what we already went through, how to charge the battery. So that's good that they have a nice English manual in the app. So at least you can view that if you need to. So once you start flying, kind of like you know, DJI does, and also Parrot and stuff, is you can click on the flight log and it'll show you the time of your flights and the location of your flights and all that stuff if you ever wanted to check that out. And if you ever have any trouble, you can always report your flight log, kind of like DJI does, it seems. Clicking on the info here, this is where we can do our firmware upgrade if we wanted to. It should warn us, and let's see, let's just try to look for latest firmware. I think I did this recently and I already upgraded. So it says currently have the latest, but if you do want to upgrade, that's where you can upgrade, and it will warn you when you're in the main app. Then we go to our login. If you do have a login, that's where you're going to have your login information. So that's it for the options menu, and this is where we're going to get into our flight capabilities. So we click on that. And this is very important. So up top we can see our battery power of the craft. We can see if it's having trouble with its ground sensors or not. Right now it's too close to the ground sensors. And what's cool about this is you see how I'm clicking on this thing? It's actually telling me what these things mean up here. So it just kind of gives you a little legend on what that is, and you can swipe over and it's going to tell you kind of a legend of what the other icons are up top. Okay, so that's our GPS. That's our compass if it's working properly, and that's our IMU. So that's like our accelerometer in there. So pretty neat. So you have all that information up top and a quick and easy legend. Just click on it and that comes up. No problem. So if you're flying in the house, you want to really make sure that's off, because what happens is it turns the GPS off and it just uses the ground sensors to keep its height. And it actually does a pretty good job at keeping it laterally still as well. If you do have this on, you're flying in the house in GPS mode, and something happens where you lose connection, it's going to trigger like return to home, and it's going to go up and hit your ceiling, because remember I had that preset 100-foot height for return to home. But if you have this off and that happens, it'll just land exactly the height it's at onto the ground. So very important, if you don't want this thing to go shooting into your roof, to keep this off when you are flying in the house. And you can see how all these menu items here, these four in the middle, they get unavailable, because when these require GPS functions. So when you turn off your GPS, those all go dark, you turn your GPS on, you have access to them again. So I'm not going to go through these right now in the house because obviously we can't do any of these in the house, but we can pilot it in the house if we wanted to shut off the GPS, go to pilot, and there we go. So the way the Breeze works is it's just got on-screen controls. There's no physical controller, so it's going to be on your device. And when we do the flight test, I'll either be recording the iPad or my Android phone. I'll be recording what's on the screen there, and I'll have it down in a little box down here on the left or right, so you guys can see exactly what the controls are doing while I'm doing all the modes. So it's really convenient for you to see that. So let's go ahead and recharge the battery up. See, I'm already at 92% just from it sitting here for the time I've been talking. So I'm going to charge everything up, get it all ready to go, full charge, take it out to the park. Might go through 2 batteries, so this may be kind of a long one, but I'm going to try to get every single feature in this review as possible. So stick around if you want to see that, and let's go fly. Alright guys, so I'm here at the park with the Breeze. This should be fun. I've got a fully charged battery in here, and we're going to use the iPad Air 2 for this one. I'm using this because I found a way to record what I'm doing on the screen. It's easier for me to see while I'm doing this flight test, and also I'm going to record the device screen and have it in a little box down here so you guys can see what's going on in the controls. Maybe I'll be switching in between the video on this and also the screen on this. So this is going to be a bit of a long one because I'm probably going to recharge this one and also see how it does in 4K, but I'm not sure. We'll see how far we get, and if I need to recharge it, I got a charger in my car over there and an inverter so I can charge the battery pack back up. And we'll make sure we get through everything as possible with this one. So hang in there if you can. This is going to be super thorough. Cool, so first thing we want to do is, I like to just open up, you don't have to, but I like to just open up the propellers just because. Just hold that button until the lights blink, and you're going to hear a little chime. And I want to make sure this is up here on the top left. That's in GPS mode because I'm not flying in the house. I want to have those GPS functions. And what we're going to do first is just a regular pilot. I want to fly this thing around, and I want to just see how far it will go and what kind of video we can get if we didn't want to do any of these journey, orbits, or selfie modes or follow me modes. So we'll go pilot first. And there we have the screen showing up of what's going on there. And we've got, it's in record mode. You see this button up to the top left. It has a camera for recording. And then this is the slider where we can pitch our camera down. So this actually has like a 1-axis gimbal where you can pitch the camera down. It's not going to really stabilize it with any mechanical stabilization except for like a little rubber thing in there. So you're probably going to have to you know, just stick with the video you get. Anyway, let's just go take off. So I'm going to press this button. You can see on the bottom left it's saying it's 0 feet high and 0 feet from me, or from its home position. Taking off. Slide to proceed. Sliding. Let's see what it does. Alright, remember how I set it to be a little higher? Initially out of the box it was like at 3 feet. I thought that was a little unsafe if kids were around or adults, but this seems like a good height because I can walk under it, do whatever I need to do, and it's not going to hit me in the head or hit me in the face by accident. So I think that's a better, safer height for launching, maybe 7 feet. Cool, so let's just fly it manually. I've got my thumbs on these controls you can see on the screen. And first what I want to do, we know that we launched from that home site, so we'll be able to test the return to home and see how accurate it lands there. We do have 20 satellites. You can see up there on the top. So everything should be working good. Let's see how fast it can go. This is the stock speed. Full pitch forward. I'm just going to fly it. Turn. That's the full yaw. This is full pitch forward. And it's only going to go as fast as its flight controller, computer, and GPS allow it. Turning towards me, full pitch forward, a little bit of roll there. So you can speed that up, but I'm just going to leave it for this review on its stock settings. You can speed up the, you know, the throttle response, ascent, descend, the vertical velocity, and also the horizontal velocity a bit. But look at this thing hover. I mean, there's about 5 to 10 miles per hour coming from this direction, and it's very well locked in. It's really hardly being influenced. You know what I should be doing is I should be recording the video
So this one's a little funny. You actually have to go into the camera here. I'm pressing on camera, and you can switch between camera. Let me take a photo real quick. So there's a shot. You see how I can't move the drone around while I'm taking pictures. So if you're going to do this manual mode, you have to be prepared to do that and then switch back into the controls. So a little bit of a con. Here I'm going to start recording, and then you have to press down here on the controls again to get you back into the manual controls. You can't control it while you're in camera mode. So that's a little bit of a con on this, but you know, that's all they could do. That's all they can do. So I'll have the video up on the screen now of this recording. And so far, so good. Let's just check out the full yaw. Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for watching. And let's just check out the full yaw. So that's full yaw to the left. And I don't think you can change this setting. I don't remember being able to change that. Let's see what our full punch test is. So full punch up, right from like, let me just hover it right here. Full punch now. So it's very slow on its stock settings. It's not really telling us the velocity, but you can see on the bottom there of the screen. While we're doing this, hey, why not just do a maximum altitude test? Let me yacht over here a little bit, if it will. There we go. That's a better shot of the Malaya area. So I'll have this up on the screen so you guys can see what's going on here and see what the height is. I'm just going to keep pushing up. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I still have picture on the screen. You guys will be seeing this on the screen. 200 feet high. I think it maxes out at 300. Still going. 63% power left. You can see up there on the top left of the screen. Geofence. Okay, you hear that alarm. So you'll hear that if you have volume on your tablet. So it maxed out at 263 feet. Yeah, I'm pushing up again and I can't go any further up. So that's 263 feet up. Let's fly straight out that way and see how far we can go. This will be a good little video stabilization test. While I'm flying out here, check this out. Let me pan this camera down, or pitch it down actually. Oh, it looks like our video is cutting out. You can see that on the screen. We're kind of losing reception. Let me try to pitch it all the way down. So the camera should be pitching all the way down, but I can't really see it. Oh, there we go. It just popped back in the screen. Nice. And it looks like it just stopped itself. I'm pushing forward and I can't really go any further forward. So I guess maybe that's the geofence as well. Let's get the camera back up to the top. So 337 feet is my maximum forward capability. And it's not really doing anything. So this should be a good time to test the return to home. So if this thing loses connection for any amount of time, it will return to home, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a return to home myself. And keep in mind with this one is it will return to home in whatever orientation you're set. So if it's the rear facing you, it'll return to home with the rear facing you. Whoops. Okay, look at that. Wi-Fi lost. Okay, so all we can do now is hope that it returns to home. I have tested this before and I know it does work, so I'm hoping it does. So we're kind of at the mercy of it returning to home on its own. So I'm just going to sit down here in the chair and I'll have the video up on the screen of the breeze so you can see what it's doing. And it seems like this one doesn't regain connection until it's rather close. I do hear it coming back. It's like right into the sun. Sorry about that. But I can hear it. Oh, there it is. Way up there. So it's still 263 feet high. And it's just about to enter its return to home column. perfect. And let's see what happens when this thing reconnects. Okay, so it found its return to home column of landing. Cool. Let's just see where it lands, you know what I mean? I want to see how accurate it is. I'm not going to touch anything. See what happens. It's going to take a while for it to come down. I'm looking at, yes, of course it's not connected, so I can't see the telemetry. So I'm not sure how high it is right now because it's not connected. So it's in completely autonomous return to home landing mode, and I'm just waiting for some kind of connection on the screen. It is getting closer. I can hear it and see that it is getting closer. There we go. It's coming down pretty quick. Hey, and we have signal back. So check that out. The screen popped back up. So it looked like it didn't regain signal for a while until it was about that height. And it just canceled out of its return to home when it regained signal. So that's good to know. It'll do that automatically. When it gets connection, it'll just stop and hover there until you do something. Let's continue the return to home by pressing that home button. Slide to proceed. And now it's going to actually go up to the designated, I think I have it set as at 100 feet. Oh, maybe it was 60. And now it's coming back. Let's just see how close to that H it lands. Okay, not bad. And it shuts off its propellers, no problem. So 2 feet. 1 foot would be here, 2 feet about there. So about 2, maybe a little over 2 feet. And that's really not bad. You know, this doesn't have any kind of precision landing like the Mavic does. Doesn't really take pictures of its landing site. So that's definitely acceptable. I mean, within 5 feet on a return to home is, in my book, is pretty acceptable. So we're at 31% power, guys. I think what I'm going to do is maybe do one last function here. And this one, keep in mind that it does stop the recording when it lands, so you don't have to worry about having to shut it off yourself or anything. So that's not going to be recording anymore. The screen will still be recording though. How about we do just a quick little selfie? Let's try this function here. And we want to face the drone towards us, like so. And we want to go ahead and do our launching and stuff and see how this thing performs. Okay, cool. So let's see what we can do. We'll just go ahead and take off first. Slide to proceed. That is facing us. Okay, so it stopped there. And actually all this mode is it doesn't actually do anything. It just sits there, and then it's, you know, it lets you adjust the camera. We've got the roll here on the bottom. You see this? I'm kind of rolling it to get myself in shot. And roll left and right. So to get yourself in shot, and you can also tilt the camera up or down, however you want to see yourself in the shot. And then this top button here is the distance from you. So you see how I'm just pushing it to the right and it's going further away. So this is kind of a manual selfie deal. And then if we're ready and we want to start recording, say I want to get this shot right here. You want to take pictures and start recording. Then you hit the camera. You start recording if you want, or taking pictures. Actually, let's go ahead and just take a picture of myself, a little selfie. And it is going to take the shot right when you press it, so maybe do that. And then let's just go ahead and record. So I'm going to hit recording. And then I have to press on this little icon here where the person is to get my controls back. This is for people that really don't know how to fly with the sticks. And then I can just go ahead and go closer or further away from me. So I'm going to push full to the right, and there's a little selfie. This isn't the journey, keep in mind. This is just a little selfie function. So of course I want to keep track of what's behind me. Okay, we're too low, so we're 15% power. And actually, it won't even let me go any further away from me than 65 feet. So it's kind of set at that in the default settings. So I'm gonna come on back, pressing left on this button, this slider. Come back. Let's see if it runs into me. Well, it goes right over. I thought it would stop before that, but it actually went over me and stopped. I can't go any further that way. So maybe that's because the GPS is a little bit off. And I think this thing, when it hits 5%, it's gonna land. I'm gonna go back into camera. I'm gonna stop the recording. And let's just hover it until it lands. So if I get back out of this, okay, there we go. So 5%, it's just gonna land wherever it is. You see it landing there? So I'll have the flight time pop up on the screen, guys, of that entire flight, so you kind of know what to expect for flight time, but I can't imagine it being more than around 10 minutes is what it felt like. But let me recharge this battery. We can see on the screen here, we have to still do orbit mode, journey mode, follow me mode. Whoops, I accidentally pressed it. And you can do FPV mode, but I'm not using any FPV goggles today, so we're not going to do FPV today, maybe at a later date. Let me recharge this and let's finish the remainder of the modes. Okay guys, guess what? We're back with the breeze. It's getting a little dark, but oh well. I want to do what I can. Might be a good idea to see some lights also in this little bit of darkness. It's like early evening. Anyway, got everything bound up, launching the Breeze app. I got the screen on here again, recording. And let's try some of these other functions, guys. Okay, so we're all ready to go. We need to press on there again. We tried the selfie. We did the self-piloting. Let's try an orbit. So we're clicking on orbit. And it's cool because it tells you instructions on how to do it right when you click on it. So place it in a safe position with the camera looking at you. Okay, so we want to turn the camera down like this, or over towards us, like that. I'm just going to kind of stand up for this. Ensure the breeze is in an open area free of obstructions. Make sure to keep a minimum distance of 13 feet. Okay. And taking off, setting center. Once you click takeoff, breeze will rise to 1 meter, or the height you set. Orb radius, there's more instructions, sorry. So you can do all these things on the sides to set more, controlling the camera pitch. So you have to kind of auto control everything and set it up before you orbit. Okay, starting to orbit. And there's the controls for that. Recording video in the camera view screen, press red. Okay. Pictures, auto white balance, return to home. Okay, so it's just telling us all this other stuff. Okay, Xing out of that. Let's go ahead and take off and try and orbit. So it should go up, yeah, so it's gonna go up to my 7 feet. I preset it as. And as you can see, it's, you know, it's kind of too high and stuff, so I wanna bring the camera down a little bit. And I'm just touching the screen controls. Bring it out a little bit. I'm gonna try stand right at this helipad where I launched from and see what it can do for us. I get a little higher up. There we go. Pitch the camera down a little bit. Maybe a little higher. Usually orbit shots are a little higher up, a little further away. There we go. And I think that should kind of do it. You can actually tap the yaw button for little slow increment moves. Okay, let's go to camera and let's record. So I'm recording now. Okay, so when you're in camera, you can start the orbit. So let's orbit right. I'm just pressing that arrow. Let's see what happens. Oh my goodness, so I'm way out of the picture, unfortunately. So yeah, that's gonna have to be, I don't know. gonna have to look a little more into that on where the center is for orbit. So you can see how it was placing the center. Let's stop it. Let's pause. It was placing the center of the orbit like over there. So let's see if we walk back here, if it has an easier time orbiting, which would be kind of frustrating. Let's try orbit right again and see where we can go where it's centered in the orbit. So it's like I've got to be right about way over here. Yeah, and you can see how I gotta keep moving around to keep it in center. Gosh, where is the center? I don't know. It's not anywhere. Anyway, that's the orbit. Let's pause it and try something else. I'm gonna stop the video again, and let's go ahead and do a return to home. Actually, let's just orbit left and land it so we don't use up power for returning to home. So I'm pressing orbit left, and then I'm going to pause it right here. And I want to get out of camera mode by pressing the controls and bring it in a little closer by pressing minus or sliding the minus. And let's just land it right here. I just hit land. Now, this is manual landing, of course. It's not going to be trying to get on its return to home destination. So that was orbit, guys. A little bit frustrating. Let's see what else we can do. Let's do a journey. I think this one should probably work better because it's not trying to orbit anything. It's just going straight out for what you set it as. So the journey is going to be, let's see, let's press takeoff and see what it says. Okay, so slide to proceed. And here we go. So with the journey, we just want to get ourselves in the center. Let's go up a little bit. Get kind of a little bit away, up and away kind of journey shot. Like that. And we can turn it by just kind of pressing the yaw buttons here and left and right to center ourselves. And as far as distance goes, let's see how that's going to work. Okay. So you can manually do your adjustments. I'm going to hit camera, and then once I press start, it should do a journey. Yep, starting journey in 3, 2, 1. So now we can do a wave. Hello, goodbye, quadcopter. Bye. It's kind of out of the center. Let me stop it. Can we stop the journey? Oh. How do we stop the journey? Well, it's going to come back anyway. So you see how I'm not really centered in there? So that's all the journey does, is it goes out and then it comes back for whatever you set. So, oh, and then you can, I didn't even see just on the bottom here, you can adjust your travel distance. So let's try to readjust this real quick. Let's get a little more centered and a little further back. And let's try again this journey. We'll go up. Let's try right there. So centered in the shot. Okay. And I want to make the journey, whoops. I want to make the journey distance. Man, this is a little bit frustrating to set up, but where was that journey distance? Okay, I can't adjust the journey distance in this screen. So you set up your shot, press camera, and then slide your journey distance. So let's go 196 feet, start. And let's see what it does. Hopefully it's going to keep us in view. Goodbye. Oh, and then we can actually, no, we can't. We can't adjust anything. Look at this. I can't adjust any of the camera settings or anything. So that kind of sucks. If the camera's a little off, you cannot adjust it. So if you're out of picture, you just have to wait till it comes back or interrupt it. So it's going way the heck up there. Now that could be pretty neat, but you're gonna have to maybe do it a couple times, and by the time you do it a few times, your battery's gonna be spent. quite a bit until you get the right shot, but bring a few batteries with you. Now it's coming back. Let's see how close to where it took off it lands, or it stops. I'm just waving down here. Hello, quadcopter, on your journey. Was it a fabulous journey? It's coming back at kind of a steady rate. You'll see the video up in the screen too of how it looks, as well as the tablet. Hey, now it says journey completed. Now I'm still in the center, but it wasn't really in the center when it was doing its journey. Anyway, that's how that works. How about follow me? Okay, looks like you got to swipe through this. Follow me. Okay. Then you can fly manually, and then you can do, wow, how do I get to follow me? Okay, pressing X. I'm just gonna leave it like this and press follow me, see what happens. Record. And is it following? Nope. What's it doing? What if I press this button? Okay, let's try that. So I guess I have to press that arrow button up top, and then it's saying activate. Ah, now it's moving around. Okay, let's see what it does. I'm gonna walk this way with the iPad, and it does seem to be trying to follow me, but where is it going? So it's not gonna turn. Maybe I can turn it myself. Let's try. Yeah, so I can yaw it myself, and I can, so you can do all the controls. Oh, you can't do it while it's following you though. Okay, so let's get me in the view. Follow me. Then you press again. Don't forget you have to press this arrow. Walk. Oh my goodness, is it gonna work? Try it again. Activate. There we go. So it is following, but it follows at a course lock. You know what I mean? And I'm walking straight, and it seems to be getting closer to me, but I'm over on the right. What if I stop? Where are you going, quadcopter? Stop there. Okay. So this is the problem when you don't have active track, like DJI does, how it locks the image in view. Let's see if we walk sideways. No? Okay, so now it's stuck there. Do I have to press follow me again? Activate. What's going on, quadcopter? Alright, so you can see it coming this way. So its head locks, and unfortunately you absolutely cannot move it, or else it cancels the follow me out. So it's really easy to get yourself out of the picture, and I really don't like that at all. That's a pretty horrible follow me. So I hope they work on that. I heard they're gonna try to work on that. So see how I'm centered? Follow me. Activate. If I walk backwards, will it keep me in center? If I stop, will it stop? If I go right, will it follow me? Will it course to the right? Kind of. Oh, low voltage. 15%, you get a low voltage alarm, and then 5% it will just land. Let's go back to the left. So it's kind of keeping me in view. So guys, this is only gonna really work effectively if you kind of get far away from yourself. So there can be some discrepancy, you know what I mean? And follow me. If I press follow me now that I'm far away, watch. Activate. See, so that's gonna look a little bit better. Oh, it's already 5%. Okay, it's gonna land. Start recording again while it's landing. Don't crash. Cool. All right, we exhausted it. We fully exhausted the power on that. I do like how it stops recording automatically when it finishes whatever it's doing, so you do not lose your footage. Okay, so let's sit down here and do a kind of an evening pros and cons. I know it's getting kind of late, but I just wanted to do another battery so you guys could really see what this thing was all about. And that brings us to the first little con. There are quite a few cons on this, but there are some pros. The first little con is look at the lighting. Horrible lighting. It only has this blinking light in the back and then just this green in the left front arm. So pretty bad lighting. Follow me works pretty crappy. I'm gonna turn this off so don't kill the battery. Follow me worked pretty darn crappy. It's really pretty unusable. Some of the other features like the journey was actually not too bad as long as you line it up. It might take a few shots to get a good shot, so you'll probably have to get like one good journey shot, like realistically you're probably gonna exhaust like a battery just getting one nice like coastline shot coming out and coming in just to line it up right, because you're probably gonna get a few mess ups, so just keep that in mind. So flying manually was great. It worked pretty well. You can see that it does have a geofence though, you know, those footages up on the screen where its capabilities, we maxed it out, maxed its height and maxed its distance from us, and we could get to those pretty good, and it was still controllable through the app. At the edge of that control it did lose connection, and then it does have a auto return to home feature. Return to home was within a couple feet of its launch position. That was great. One bad thing is the return to home. When it's coming back, it locks its head whatever it's facing, and it will just come back like that. So it will not auto turn back and face home and come back. If you do turn wherever you want and then press the return to home, it will, you know, lock its head. Kind of same thing I'm saying, but you have, if you wanted it to face home, you'd have to know where home is, face it with the camera, and then press return to home in order to get that home facing shot. Flight time's kind of low, you know, it's like 10 minutes, but you know, this is something that may be slightly comparable to the new Spark that's out, which I'll be reviewing pretty soon. So stay tuned for that one. It is fairly portable. It would be totally awesome if you could, of course, collapse these arms down, but even the Spark, you cannot collapse the Spark's arms down for some reason. I don't know why they didn't do that. Maybe it's some kind of vibration issue or stability issues. It was very quiet. It was pretty quiet, and it did a great job at GPS lock. One thing I didn't show is if you press down on the control pad, it will not land unless you slide to land. So that's a good feature. You cannot land this thing by just pushing down. You've got to slide lock to land, and I guess that could be a good thing and a bad thing. It did hold its position very well without GPS in the house. It held its height perfectly, but there was some slight variation by a couple of feet in the house, which I didn't show. So all in all, guys, I guess pretty disappointing in the advanced features like follow me and stuff, and the orbit too. I mean, you saw how that thing was just really confusing to know where the center was. I tried walking to the center and it was like doing some kind of oval where I could never get like exactly in the center. So it does need some work. So I'd say if you're gonna think about getting this, the regular manual flying works great, the return to home works great, and the journey works pretty good. Like just going out, coming back in, you can adjust that if you want to. Those are the things that work great. Of course, we didn't do the FPV goggles, so you know, you can put your phone, this is obviously too big, but if you have a phone, put that in one of those Google Cardboard goggle boxes, go into the FPV mode, and you can actually fly. I guess you can fly with your tablet or something, and then having a separate screen as your FPV. I don't know. It seems like that's how that's going to work. Anyway, that was the review on the Yuneec Breeze. Hope you guys enjoyed it and it was informative to you. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll have the links to this down in the description if you do want to check out pricing and all that stuff. It's getting late. I gotta go home. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.